Bringing Up Baby is a pretty brilliant Golden Girls episode. This is the third episode of the third season. It is, of course, directed by Terry Hughes, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. And I actually have quite a lot of notes here. There's a lot to cover, and honestly, I pretty much enjoyed every second of it, apart from Sophia, not as a character, but her situation. I didn't love it. Sophia, in the beginning, comes home and we find out it took her 6 hours to get home because she broke her glasses while she was out. And it just kind of broke my heart a little bit. They didn't really lean into the emotional aspect there at all. It was more done purely for comedy, but I found it to be a little heavier than I would have liked. But it doesn't take up too much of the episode, but personally, I didn't love that part of it. I didn't find it to be that comfortable, but I didn't mind it. It didn't ruin my overall enjoyment. Blanche is then trying to decide on what jewellery to wear, and then Rose comes in and she says, and I love how dramatic this is because we don't get the context for quite a while, and she says, "I found out this morning I'm going to be a mother again." And it takes us a good few minutes to find out what on earth she's talking about. And even when we establish what she's talking about, we have another few minutes until we find out some more information that really shifts the tone of the story. Because her uncle Hingeblotter has passed away and left behind a baby. And he has asked Rose to look after this baby. And Blanche and Dorothy, once they're talking about it, both realise that actually they'd be quite happy to help her raise this baby if that's what everybody wants to do, and that's what they're waiting for, and they're rather anxious, waiting for the knock at the door with the arrival of the little baby, and then we get the knock at the door, and baby is a pig. It is a pig called Baby, and I honestly don't think that was expected. I don't think that was predictable, and I rather enjoyed it. Initially, Blanche is not having it, the pig is not staying in her house, and then they find out that if they keep the pig until it dies, they'll get $100,000. And Rose is happy to split that money with them, of course, and Dorothy's still not taking to it. Dorothy doesn't want to look after the pig, not for any money, and then she finds out that pigs usually live for about 25 years, and Baby is 29. So the pig can stay. However, we quickly learn in the next scene that Baby has been causing some problems. Rose is still very happy. Rose, as she said, would look after the pig for free, but it's eating Blanche's clothing and people are not happy with the smells it's making, which I have to say, I could agree with that. And then Baby collapses. It got quite dramatic quite quickly. And we don't get to see that much of Baby after the first couple of scenes with the character, but what we do get was quite cute. I do think the character is rather adorable, and Baby is unfortunately not very well, and there's a moment where I laughed out loud, kind of twice in a row, because Rose is considering putting a thermometer into the pig to see how sick it is, and she says that she doesn't know what a normal temperature for a pig is, which I don't believe. I feel like Rose would know that, having grown up on a farm and is very invested in the health of animals that she's looked after. I feel like she would know. Maybe she'd forgotten, but I feel like that's information she would have. And Sophia says, "I know a ham turns out nicely at 3.25, which made me laugh. And then Rose's expression made me laugh after that. I just thought it was absolutely fabulous. And then they come in from a shopping spree, not Rose, of course. And for a moment, and I mean literally seconds, I thought Baby had died and they were spending the money. But then we quickly established that they're spending money they don't have yet. And Rose is actually in the house with a vet, and they determine that there's nothing really specifically wrong with Baby. Baby is just missing the barn, and Baby is homesick. And Rose wants to send Baby back, send her to another relative who can care for the pig in a proper environment. And in a turn of events, Blanche and Dorothy actually really want Baby to stay. And they convince Rose that actually it's better for Baby to stay there rather than on a farm. And it's very clear that this is for selfish reasons. And it's definitely getting to Dorothy more than the others. Blanche goes out and buys a car. She buys a Mercedes. And she she's offering one of her sons to Dorothy in exchange for being able to keep the car. So Blanche is definitely focused on the money, but Dorothy convinces Blanche that they should go and talk to Rose and apologise for being selfish, and we do. We go into Rose's bedroom, which is not a room we're in that frequently. I really like it. I love the decor. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous space. And Baby is tucked up in bed with her, and they explain their selfishness. They apologise, and there's a moment where I could see it coming. I knew what they were going to do once Rose said this, but I still found it so funny because they asked, is there anything we can do to say sorry, to make up for this? And Rose says, a kiss on the nose might be a nice gesture, obviously referring to Baby's nose. And Dorothy and Blanche kind of look over at Baby and then look back at Rose and kiss her on the nose. And I knew it was coming, but it was still absolutely adorable. And Rose forgives them then. And then we have the final scene, well, the penultimate scene, I guess, where they're in the kitchen. Baby has been sent to a barn, and they get a letter from Rose's relative. And we find out that Baby died after 36 hours. That must be so frustrating. It turns out Baby was just really ill, or I guess really old, and her body was just shutting down. And she died after 36 hours. And as they pointed out, if they just hung on for another day and a half, they would have been significantly richer. But they can rest easy knowing that morally they did the right thing for the pig, even if they are significantly less wealthy than they would have been if they just held out for 2 days. Must be annoying, but they did the right thing, and I think that's really important. And then somebody comes to tow away the car, and they decide to go for a ride in the Mercedes while it's being towed, which was not a bad way to end it. I thought this was a pretty solid episode. It's definitely very fun, mostly very light-hearted. Rose is absolutely adorable in this episode, and Baby is really adorable as well. I'm not a huge fan of pigs. If I were to name all of my favourite barnyard animals, pigs might be. I'd put them above cows. This is a pointless conversation, but I'm not somebody who's absolutely in love with pigs the way Rose is, but I certainly found Baby to be very cute. I thought it was a very unexpected twist to bringing up Baby, and apart from some discomfort with Sophia here, and that's mostly because I just didn't like to see her in this vulnerable position simply because she broke her glasses. And it's not great. I didn't find it very funny, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But everything with Baby I thought played out beautifully. Some really great lessons about not being greedy when it comes to the health and well-being of an animal, but all done with some really brilliant comedy. Bringing up Baby is definitely a pretty great episode of Golden Girls.